Hey, what's going on there, guys? Nick here from Absolute Forcible, and I'm here with a profile for you. So today we are going to be taking a look at Fire and Light Werewolves. So first and foremost, the ruler that I'm using for this deck is Snow White. So Snow White has a J activate for 2, 1 Fire and 1 Light. Or you can pay 1 and pitch a Poison Apple from your hand, which we're playing 4 of those in the deck. And the flip side is a 1300 beater that has target attack, activate, and rest it to rest another target J/Resonator, or activate, pay 1, pitch a Poison Apple from hand, and destroy target Resonator, which is really sweet. So the big incentive for me to actually play Snow White and Bloody Snow White on the flip side is that Duel of Truth is so sweet whenever you have a 1300 beater. It's as close as you can get to Mephistopheles range as far as playing your red deck goes, and it can hit a lot of creatures in the format right now. Of course, you do run into some problematic cards like Mephistopheles itself, but out of the board I am playing Clockwork Applebomb, so it helps with that a little bit, and you get to play some cool side tech cards as well. So to start things off, for our Resonators here, we have Wolf Haunted in Black Forest. We have Hunter of Black Forest, Moon Knight Pouncer, Beowulf, Loup, and Commander of Wolves. So all of these are as a 4/of for us. So for the 1-cost cards that we have, the Wolf Haunted in Black Forest, so it's a 500/300. Whenever it dies, if we don't control a moon, we're going to take 500 off of it. And if we do have our Bloody Moon out there, then it's going to be a 700/500 beater. For 1, and we don't take the damage if it ends up dying. The Hunter, honestly, is kind of like a filler place. Whenever you're playing like one of these red decks, it's not a werewolf or anything, and it doesn't really fall into the entire grand scheme of things. It doesn't get any of the benefits from like Loup or the Bloody Moon itself. However, it's just another 1-drop for us to just be an aggressive deck, because this is basically just a fire beatdown deck. The Moon Knight Pouncer is pretty cool, especially with some of the plays that we can do in this type of a deck, especially like if we're doing like Duel of Truth with like Bloody Snow White and our opponent has already declared a blocker that we can just first strike through. So it has a continuous where if we play a normal spell for the turn, it gains first strike and swiftness. So with the swiftness, we have a lot of cheap ways to actually get that continuous off and have him have swiftness for the turn if we don't have loops. So that's with stuff like the Thunder, which can either hit our opponent or one of their Resonators, Duel of Truth, which is of course really sweet, and even just like Poison Apple or stuff like that. Also Dream of Juliet if we end up using that for either like the draw effect or to bounce one of our guys and protect it for the turn. We have the Beowulf, which is honestly like one of my favorite cards in this deck, outside of being able to play Loop. Beowulf is just really sweet because it has the modifier for basically double damage, so it's going to be dealing 600. With Bloody Moon, it's a little bit bigger, so it deals even more damage. So that's always great whenever you have some additions onto the Beowulf that make his modifier a whole lot bigger and much more threatening. Our Loop here is probably the best creature that you have in the deck. It's the one that pretty much connects the best and deals the most damage, so all of your other werewolves are going to have swiftness. It also has another continuous ability where whenever one of your werewolves attack, Loop is going to deal 100 to your opponent, and if you control a moon, it deals 200 instead. So just being able to attack with your guys and get some free points of damage, even if your guys end up being blocked, is really sweet, and it can pretty much just kind of win you games sometimes. And our Commander, the Commander you don't really want to see multiples of in your opener. So usually if I see like 2 of these guys in my opener, I will mulligan one of them away. However, in the late game, just being able to drop it and use it as a removal, because it deals, on enter, it deals 400 to a Resonator for each werewolf you control. It's a pretty easy way to get rid of like one bigger Resonator that your opponent actually has. As for the non-Resonators that we're actually playing here, we have 2 Dream of Juliet, so this card's really good up against any additions that your opponents have that are problematic, mainly like Necronomicon, so you're able to get rid of that pretty easily. You can also just kind of cycle it, draw the card off of it, and be able to just kind of replace it in your hand. It's especially effective because whenever you go for your turn, whenever you draw, and before you actually go about unresting your guys, you can just cycle this card and draw. You can trigger off your Moon Knight Pouncer for the turn, and then go and actually recover all of your guys, and then go for turn with your Moon Knight Pouncer actually having the first strike. So it makes it much more threatening for the turn. It's kind of small and intricate, but it does help sometimes. The Poison Apple is honestly just fodder for the most part. Being able to flip your Bloody Snow White for a cheap cost is really sweet. And that's pretty much what we're aiming for, just kind of cheating her out for a cheaper cost. And then any subsequent ones that we have, we can use them as removal to have our guys actually be able to connect, especially up against like bigger threats. We want to have ways to get rid of big things that we normally couldn't just attack through. Sometimes you actually do end up using it for the plus 1000, like if you're pretty much just threatening a win and your opponent ends up blocking like one of your bigger guys to keep them from actually losing the game, and then you just get in with like one of your hunters for 300 and then plus another 1000 gives you the win, then you use it. But for the most part, you use this card as a removal from how I've been playing this deck at least. The Thunders are pretty self-explanatory. You either hit Resonators that you don't want your opponent to actually have, or you just go and you hit them in the face with it. The Duel of Truth is most effective with our Bloody Snow White whenever it's actually on the table. And the Bloody Moon itself is really good up against any of the utility stones that your opponents might be having, especially like the green or the black one. Those are the, I want to say like the most problematic ones that you actually run into. The green one just protects their guys, and the black one just allows Abdul to flip for essentially free. Just for one black is pretty ridiculous, so you don't want them to have the utility. So it can blow up that, or if you know your opponent's playing like Necronomicon and you can keep them away from 3 black, then it's another effective way to stop them from that. Of course, in any of the instances where you're playing up against like a mono-colored deck or something like that, I usually side one out. But for the most part, for siding purposes, I'm siding another Bloody Moon, another Duel of Truth, 2 more Dream of Juliets in the side, just to complement and fill out our actual sets between our total 75 that we're actually playing. As far as stones are concerned, we're playing 4 of the fire and light stones, and then just 6 regular fire stones here. And as far as like additional cards in the side and stuff that I've been just kind of testing or playing with, Kusanagi's Sword's pretty sweet, especially because it works pretty well with Loup. It's also pretty cool with Beowulf as well. I think it's most effective with Loup just because every time one of your guys attacks, it's dealing 100 or 200 if you have the moon, plus another 200 with the modifier. So you can actually deal a huge amount of damage with the Kusanagi Sword. But for the most part, the only times I've actually been siding it has been in instances where the 600 that it deals when it enters is just going to deal with most of the creatures my opponent's actually playing. So if it can hit like the majority of their Resonators, I usually side it in. Outside of that, like the other light cards that you can side are like Return to Stories, more Dream of Juliet, the complementary other like Bloody Moon and Duel of Truth to fill your set, and Clockwork Applebomb because it's really sweet up against cards like Mephistopheles, and it's also good up against like the Oz decks I've noticed as well, just because it doesn't target. If they like flip their Crimson Girl and they just have like one big guy, you can block, flip over Clockwork Applebomb, and just blow both of them up. But yeah, that is the tech that I have for you guys for Fire and Light Werewolves with Bloody Snow White and Snow White. So if you guys enjoyed the profile here, I would appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Force of Will content. But until next time guys, thank you for watching and peace out.